and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no. Stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants. So, Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
Struck out twice as well. He barrels this ball to right field. Way deep and into the third deck here in D.C. Right down the line, and that is the first home run for Gunnar Henderson since late April. A ringing left-on-left assault, and there is your early offense.
So there you go. They got that going for them, which is nice. The Orioles didn't get swept, so could have been worse. Could have been worse. 7-3 win yesterday. Their only win in the series.
I guess it could have been worse. You're right. Yeah. I didn't think about it that way. You're right.
It's weird, right, to come in here on a Monday and like the most recent thing that you have is a win, but yet
and Gunnar getting 4 hits. Yeah,
that's true. And being the man of the match and his first home run since April. Jeez. But you're still not feeling good because it was another lost weekend for the Birds. Hi, good morning. Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. It's a warm, warm day. Makes you think it'd be a good weekend to go to the beach, maybe get in the pool, but you'd be wrong. This weekend's going to suck.
It's going to be cold?
That's the word. Hot as hell yesterday.
I mean, yeah, I guess
hot as hell today. So you're like, all right, well, at least that's good news because like we're just moving into
50s.
the pool.
Okay.
Yeah. The plan for this
weekend
weekend
my God,
was,
what? I didn't look at the 7 straight days of rain?
Dog. You know what? I've decided something.
9 straight days.
Glenn Clark. Not the governor, but let's be honest. There's certain areas where I think I should be. This is one of those areas.
Governor of weather?
Yeah. When our friends in meteorology take a look at the 10-day outlook and they see this, they need to
just lie.
No, reach out to me.
Oh, okay.
And allow me to say, I have decreed this shall be Memorial Day.
Oh, this weekend.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, we didn't plan for it, but best laid plans of mice and men. We don't want a random Monday off. We want a summer Monday off. We don't. This is why we all love Martin Luther King. Well, a lot of us love Martin Luther King. More of us should, but a lot of us do. The presidents, not so much. But Martin Luther King for sure. But we don't even all bother to take that day off. We like the veterans a whole hell of a lot. But how many of us are taking off on Veterans Day? Why? Why? Because we don't need those days off. They do nothing for us. What the hell are we going to do on a Monday in November?
Celebrate the veterans.
We need summer days off. So when you look and you see that one Monday is going to be a summer Monday and another Monday is going to be a February Monday, then it's time to reorganize, redouble our efforts. And on Thursday of this past week, we could have all come to an agreement. Hey, I know we planned it for next week, but everybody switch it up. Next Monday, just going to be a Monday. Just going to be a Monday-ass Monday. But you're opening your pools this week because we're having ourselves a holiday Monday this week. Thus saith the Lord.
Is it that simple?
My world.
Okay.
You don't understand, man. Like, our pool opens this weekend, the one that we are members at.
Yeah. But yeah, you're not going.
The plan for I'm telling you, if you looked at the Clark family calendar, it says Friday pool, Saturday pool, Monday we always get together with our friends the Gatsbys, and on Monday we go to their house because they have a pool. On Sunday they normally come to our house and we like play pickleball and grill and things like that. We've got a whole thing laid out, but 3 of the 4 days are just pool. You go right ahead and you look at that forecast that Griffin's showing you right now, and you see Friday 56 degrees and rain, Saturday 55 degrees and rain, Sunday, just to mix it up, 63 degrees and rain. Hey, but on Monday it's going to get all the way up to a nice balmy 72 and rain.
Yeah.
So you tell me, Chief, what are you going to do? Is there any movies coming out?
Mandalorian and Grogu.
Damn it, I'm going to have to take them to that.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Early reviews haven't been the highest.
I'm so stunned. All the other new Star Wars movies have pulled so well. Lord. Well, we got Gunnar Henderson going. We got that.
Yeah.
We got that going for us.
Hopefully it doesn't cool off with the rain and the weather, I guess.
Coming up in a bit, our buddy Brad Brach, Birdland Territory is part of the Foul Territory Network, of course, former Oriole. He will join us. We'll get his thoughts on where the Orioles find themselves. Later on in the program, Chad Summers. There might not be summers in Maryland this weekend, but there were summers in Maryland this past weekend. Multiple. Because summer weather and Chad Summers, the trainer of Napoleon Solo. It's such a – how do we not have that race in Baltimore for us to be able to say Napoleon Solo? He's going to join us after he won the Preakness on Saturday down at Laurel. That's coming up on the program today. I can't add any. I mean, it's a weird weekend in that it's not like you can say, well, so-and-so got their brains beat in, and that's the reason why you lost. You lost because on Friday and Saturday you didn't bother to score any runs for innings, and then fell behind. Obviously, after you tried to mount a comeback on Saturday, then
Keegan Aiken comes in
and put a little gasoline on the fire. But the story was, for whatever reason, for 6 innings, you were like, runs. We don't. Where we're going, we don't need any runs.
Except you do, actually.
Well, where you're going is losing.
Well,
so
yeah, I guess you're right. You don't need runs if you're
world,
trying to lose.
You're right. You don't need any runs to lose. It was a weird week to do 3 up and 3 down. It was weird. You want to just go ahead and do that?
I guess we could. Sure.
It was a weird week for that.
I gotcha.
Three up.
And 3 down.
As long as we're doing it, yeah.
3 up and 3 down is brought to you this week by, this one's going to be brought to you by the Stan the Fan Variety Hour. I normally have an email from Stan by now about what time the Monday show is going to be, and I don't have that. So I'm assuming there's a Monday show today, or maybe he got my decree that today is Memorial Day, and that might be the... All right.
Kind of on you, maybe.
Stan, Ross, and Luke, most every Monday. Hopefully today. Talking baseball with you. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports to watch it live. It's all brought to you by Warnkin Law and the Costas Inn with 2 great locations, the OG in Dundalk, the new one in Timonium. I struggled with 3 up and 3 down. Like, obviously I knew who was number 1 on the up list. That one was pretty easy for me, but everything else was very difficult in 3 up and 3 down this week. And in a way, I had to throw out storylines and kind of just default to what the numbers told me, because it was a 3 and 3 week and a weird weekend in which, like, you just didn't bother to score any runs. You didn't bother to score for 6 innings, and then tried, and it was futile. When we have the same number of wins as losses, do we start with a down or the up?
I can't remember.
Down.
I can't remember. They're all blurring together at this point, where it's like.
Number 3 on the down list, Pete Alonso. Very frustrating because you talked yourself into the idea that Pete Alonso was peaking. And then Pete Alonso OPS 469. Nice. 469 for the week. And again, when I was trying to find storylines, to me the storylines were less about the pitching and more about the bats just not bothering to come to life. But Pete Alonso, number 3 on my down list.
This is where you're gonna find Keegan Aiken on my list, and I might have, I toiled with putting him higher on the list. But I mean, he was absolutely. I mean, because you're right, they scored no runs this weekend, but when they finally did decide to score some runs, and arguably more, that ball from Kobe Mayo was almost fair.
It wasn't though.
But Aiken immediately comes in. He doesn't piss down his leg. He poops down his leg. I mean, it was awful. He could barely. He got one out, and the Nationals scored 7 runs that inning.
I'm aware.
It was. I mean, one of the worst. I mean, it seems like they have one of these a week now, where they bring in a reliever, and it was. I don't know. I feel like it's almost predictable when it's Keegan Aiken, but they bring in a reliever who's going to give up 7 or 8 runs in one inning. When you start believing like, oh, they can hang. They're hanging in there, and they just need one more kind of big inning, one more rally, and instead. Keegan Aiken.
I don't know what's telling you that they would have gotten that rally, but
I mean, they started hitting the inning before, so
the inning before, yes, and that was the one inning.
And on paper, the Nationals pitching staff isn't that good.
Yeah, how did Zach Littell do?
Despite how good they made them look.
That's the problem.
Well, Zach Littell always kills the Orioles. I don't know how to.
Adley Rutschman's number 2, and that's tough to stomach. But he went 2 for 20 and OPS 345 for the week, and again, sort of adds into the story of just not scoring runs. You don't want to pile on because Adley Rutschman's been the best Oriole this season, or at least the best Oriole not named Rico Garcia, but Adley Rutschman number 2 this week.
Yeah, he was really bad. I mean, he had the 3-run homer, I guess, which was nice, but it barely got out, and he had 2 hits on. His on base was somehow lower than his batting average. It was a rough week for Adley, so he was my number 2
not
as well.
Great. Trevor Rogers number 1. I don't know. You can try to say, hey, it's the first start back. You don't want to read too much into it, but the starts before he got sick weren't good either, and that's really concerning. I don't know. He goes again tonight, right?
Yes,
yeah,
he does
tonight. Trevor Rogers number
against
1
Shane McClanahan. So.
Oh, good. I mean, it kind of. To be fair, it's the Rays. It wouldn't matter who he was facing.
Yeah, that's true.
It wouldn't matter. They can all pitch. Confirmed. Thank you, Stan the Fan. Confirmed 4:45 today. Stan the Fan, Russ Grimsey,
good time.
Luke Jackson. Look at that. Yeah, Trevor Rogers number 1.
Yes.
Okay then.
Yeah.
We
I was at that one. I was at the game Tuesday night, so I got to see that one up and close.
Oh,
and
good.
yeah, thanks, Trevor.
Neat.
It was good to see that.
We moved to the up. It's funny. Number 1 was easy for me. Everything else was difficult, and I ended up going with Anthony Nunez at number 3 because I almost defaulted just to Rico because just default to Rico. But the truth is, Anthony Nunez was called upon to get a save, something that he certainly is not his area, and then was called upon with the bases loaded yesterday in the 4th inning. What? What?
Needed that one.
And he got him 4 outs. 2 really key appearances for Anthony Nunez this week. A 1-run save against the Yankees and working out of a bases-loaded jam. Just spots that Anthony Nunez has not been in before, and he came through in both of them. So Anthony Nunez, number 3 for the week.
I did default to Rico because, I mean, he's my MVO at this point.
I don't know if you heard he gave up a hit yesterday.
I know, yeah, right. So it's sounding alarms. I mean, Baz went 7 innings, but, they obviously still took the loss.
It's Baz, right?
What does it matter? Basayo had a good week, but he didn't play in the 2. He didn't play in the 2 wins over the Yankees, so it was like, So yeah, I defaulted to Rico. I don't know. I was waiting. I still don't know. When we started this segment, I was like, I don't know who my number 3 on the up list is going to be. But yeah, Rico. Dietrich Enns had a solid week too. I don't know. I went with Rico because when he pitches, I know what's going to happen.
Circumstances, Nunez. It was. I get it. I'm not going to be mad about defaulting to Rico, but you got it wrong. It's one of those,
I don't know about that.
You can be wrong, but not, terribly wrong, just mildly wrong. And when it's Rico, it's hard to say wrong. Just, I don't know, incorrect. I don't know what to come up with for this.
Oh. Tell the other guys to be better then, I guess.
Number 2. It's very difficult.
easier.
Number 2 is very difficult because you have to measure what he did against, one, how frustrated you've been by him this season, and 2, the fact that the most memorable moment of his week was pimping a strikeout. And not just any old bat flip. Like
that foul pole's in the wrong spot, I think.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, I'm talking about like an eternal bat flip. I don't think that bat.
But imagine if it was fair.
Yeah, I don't think that bat has landed yet from Saturday. But Kobe Mayo did OPS 1177 for the week, so Kobe Mayo is number 2.
Yeah, he's my my number 2. Like the biggest hit of the week, of course, on Monday, and was able to carry that through across the rest of the week. Could have been a really massive week for Kobe, but yeah, still a number two worthy.
And then my number 1 was easy. Kyle Bradish obviously put together maybe the best pitching performance. Well, I mean, easily the best pitching performance of the season for the Orioles, and the additional encouragement that comes with it being his second straight really good start. Kyle Bradish is an obvious number 1 for me this week.
Yes. You got that one right. Good job.
Thanks. I appreciate that. We'll get that up at glennclarkradio.com. But it sort of speaks, like the way that we've struggled, man, it was a weird week. And in a way, it just sort of feels like this is the Orioles.
Right. Well, and I feel like I'm battling a little bit of apathy as well.
Yep.
Like
even when something seems good, you're like, but is it good?
Yeah.
You are always going to do the bit where you just pile on the fringiest of them. Like you're like, if I can pile on Keegan Aiken, I'm going to do it, man.
I mean, he's been here forever, and I feel like it's always the same. Like he's never.
That's not true. Actually, he had a good week the week before.
I mean, he had 2 scoreless appearances.
We actually
you can luck into that. That had
is that you can luck into it?
Yeah,
that's what Rico Garcia did last week.
Well, he's done it for the entire.
I understand.
The entirety of the
we don't
year.
judge the entirety.
Actually, it's entirety of
we're
his
just
Orioles
judging
career.
the week. That's what we were doing.
He struck out like 4 of the 6 batters he faced. It was what he does.
I don't know, man. I don't know. And I get it. It's my job to say something, but it's purgatory. It's just you keep waiting. And in a way, when they lose some more games, there's this small part of you where you're like, all right, well, maybe you get on to whatever the next thing is. But that's fruitless because, as I said before, they're not firing Mike Elias. There's no one left to fire until they do. You got a firing last year. It didn't help. Now, for being fair, it has helped in Philadelphia.
Yeah, they haven't lost, I don't think.
It feels like it. Now, they were better on paper to begin with, but when I say that firing a manager doesn't normally change things, well, in Philadelphia, they'd argue that it did. Firing a manager changed things. But they also didn't have a reprehensible offseason.
Zach Wheeler came back, and then Kyle Schwarber started doing nothing but hitting balls 500 feet.
Yeah, man, I don't know that has anything to do with Don Mattingly, but maybe, maybe. We all want to feel something, and weeks like this are the antithesis of feeling something. You want to be incredibly down about losing a series to the Nationals, but the Nationals aren't bad. They're a 500 baseball team, and you lost 2 out of 3. You want to feel great about winning a series against the Yankees, but then you remember that you're 2-5 on the year against the Yankees. It was the first series you've won this season over a team with a winning record. You want to say, the Orioles are done, but they're not. They're not. And you think you know, but ultimately they're just not good enough, but you don't know that. You want to get excited that Gunnar Henderson had 4 hits yesterday. You want to believe that the lifting of his foot is changing things. You want to think that maybe Kobe Mayo has turned a corner, but we thought that 2 weeks ago, and then it led to maybe his worst week of baseball for the season. There's just so little consistency. There's just so little that you can take from one series to the next, other than that most of the starting pitching has been very bad. Brandon Young worked 3 2/3 innings yesterday, and all things being told, it was one of the better starts that we've seen recently. It's just tough. It's tough to say anything definitive about this baseball team. And we can keep saying, hey, it's early, but it can only be early for so long. We're already past the quarter pole. At some point, they've got to do something. They've got to follow up the success of winning a series with winning another one. They've got to string together good baseball. It ain't going to be easy this week. All the Rays do is pitch. They got a lab or something. They just keep coming up with these guys. It's tough. It just feels purgatorial. It feels like, and I get that's baseball. That's the mundane nature of a 162-game season. This guy knows about that for sure, and particularly as a reliever. It's you gotta embrace the mundane when you're in that role. Of course, one of our favorites from his time with the Orioles. He's now part of Birdland Territory with our friends Tim Barbalace and Steve Molesky. He is the great Brad Brach, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Brad, it's Glenn here in Baltimore. What did you do when, like, you were in the throes of the mundane during the course of a season? What was it that you would do to try to, like, get yourself amped up for one particular game that on paper looked no different than any of the other 162 that you were going to play during the course of the year?
Yeah, it's tough. You know, like it's when June, everybody always talks about August being, you know, the dog days of summer and the toughest month. But a lot of times because it's July, you have the All-Star break coming up, but that like 6-week period before the All-Star break is just kind of, you're in the throes of it. Like you said, it's just kind of, it's not tough to get up for a big league game, especially when you're coming in late in the game to, you know, close out a lead, but it's just kind of blah during this time of year. And it is a little just, you're just kind of going through the motions, and you just got to find whatever way you can to make sure you don't get stuck in that for too long.
Brad, this team, what do you make of why they have not been able to sustain success? Like if I said, how do you explain that an Orioles team that had just gone and won a series against the Yankees, the best team in baseball, but then kind of fell on their face and lost the first two of the next series? Why do you feel like this team has struggled to build off of any success they've had this year and sustain it and really start putting together a stretch of good baseball?
To me, it's kind of seems like the starting pitching and the offense are kind of flip-flopping on which one kind of shows up that day. To me, it's just been a little inconsistent on those two aspects of the season pretty much. And then on Saturday, of course, it's the bullpen's been really good for so long, and they throw out that one inning that pretty much just gave the game away. And it's kind of, it just becomes frustrating as the fan side of me. I'm getting frustrated because you want to see the consistency. You know, all the pieces are there. It's just they can't put them together back-to-back series. And that's been the frustrating part of a fan side. As a player side, I know what happens. It just kind of, these things just happen, and you just got to hope that you can run off 10 out of 14 or 12 out of 17 or something like that. But it's been really inconsistent from all three phases of the game so far to this season.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way of putting it, right? Like it just sort of, and in that way, there's no easy answer to it either, right? Like I feel like we're coming back to this. It's just baseball, right? Like one day it might just happen.
Yeah, and to me, I always think back to the 2018 season when we had all the pieces, all the guys were there, and the days we hit, we couldn't pitch, and the days we pitched, we couldn't hit, and then we all saw what that turned into that season, and it can happen fast. I felt early on in April like we're going to contend for the division, and then I looked up at the standings 4 weeks later, and it's like, man, we're all going to get traded away. Like it can happen really fast, and I don't think this team has been like as drastic as it was in 2018 with how inconsistent we were, but it can get away from you fast. And now you have 6 out of 9 games against the number one team in the American League, and it's kind of like if it doesn't get going here, it's going to be June, and you're going to be 7 games under 500, and it's really hard to come back from that.
Brad Brach is with us here on GCR. Brad, let's talk about a couple of individual things, right? Like, obviously a big day for Gunnar yesterday, his first 4-hit game of the season. He had a couple of hits on Friday night as well. a lot has been made about him lifting his foot. Are you seeing a guy that to you looks different, looks like he's made the change necessary in order to be the Gunnar Henderson that we know he's capable of being? Or does everybody have a good day, a good weekend? We need to see a little bit more before we buy into that.
Yeah, I actually talked about this on Birdland Territory. I think it was 2 weeks ago when they played Miami. And I was concerned where his swing was at that point as a scouting. Like, if I was scouting to face him as a hitter, he wasn't getting to that inside fastball like he normally was. And to me, that was concerning because if he doesn't get to that, his approach changes completely across. And if you can throw that inside fastball, which to me, Gunnar Henderson, that's a no-go zone. If you're able to do that on a consistent basis like Miami was, he's going to be all over the place trying to figure out what to do. So for me, that pitch he hit out yesterday, I know it wasn't a fastball in there, but he turned on that inside pitch out to right field for a home run. And to me, that shows me he's staying inside the baseball. He threw his hands almost like at his waist, and he still hit the ball to the third deck. And then he took a changeup away, hit it back up the middle. To me, it seems like he has been more locked in this weekend. Once again, can he continue that approach and that success? We'll see. But to me, watching him this weekend, that was a really good sign to see him hit that ball out to right field the way he did.
We look like we're on the cusp of Jackson Holliday making his season debut for the Orioles, Brad. And I'm so torn on this because they've played him at third base. They know they're not going to have Jordan Westburg the rest of the season. It seems like that's the plan. I think a lot of us are a little confused by that. We get it. Like, you don't really have a great option at third base, but hey, look, Kobe Mayo happened to start hitting again this week.
Yeah.
What is the best way to do this with Jackson Holliday returning, and particularly, of course, the fact that you now know definitively that you're not going to have Jordan Westburg the rest of the year?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm sure it's a head scratcher even for the GM at this point to try to figure out what to do and where to put him at. At this point, maybe if you feel, if it's a righty starter, maybe Jeremiah Jackson goes to the bench and you put Jackson at second base and you play Kobe Mayo at third base. And if it's a righty starter or a lefty starter, then third if you don't like Kobe. I don't really know what the solution is going to be. But they obviously want to get Jackson Holliday in the lineup, and I think it sounds like it wants to be on a consistent basis. So I don't really know. I was telling Steve and Tim, I haven't followed the Orioles as closely the last few years as I have this season. So I kind of deferred that question to them, and Tim was a little confused. He said he just didn't really understand. He was kind of getting used to second base as it was, and now you're moving over to third base, and it just kind of seems a little bit of a what are we doing type of thing. But, I mean, I guess they're going to roll with what they got and try to get better production at third base right now. But I agree, Kobe Mayo's looked great this last week. So now what's the answer to that problem?
No, it's a weird spot to be in. And, like, I don't think Jackson Holliday has shown himself to be, like, a high-level second baseman. But, again, you need to get the best offense of Jackson Holliday that you can possibly get.
Yes.
And that's why I think a lot of us have said, well, why do this now? Why have him try to adjust to a position he hasn't played? Why not just solve for Jackson Holliday? If he's comfortable at second, let him play second. And you need his bat right now more than anything else. He's probably not going to be a high level at either position, honestly.
Yeah. Now that seemed to be the consensus with Tim and Steve too. They was just like, he still hasn't proven himself to be a great second baseman. So now you're moving to a new position, and he still hasn't hit as much as people want to see at the big league level. So now it just seems like a lot of variables and a lot of uncomfortableness being thrown towards a guy that you want to just go out there and say, hey, we're plugging you in the 2 spot in the lineup or the 5 or the 7 spot, whatever it is, and you go out there every day and play. To me, it just seems like a lot. He's still such a young player that if you do see him as one of the big pieces in the future, you play him at second base, you get him consistent at bats, and then you figure out elsewhere where you can get guys in and out of the lineup.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Again, we'll see. Maybe we find out Jackson Holliday is a great third baseman. Maybe we find out.
You never know.
Yeah,
he does like the lefty. He started in the minors. He was playing left side of the infield. I know third base is completely different than shortstop, but who knows? Maybe he just likes the angles over there. And sometimes I've heard at third base, the best part about it is you don't have to think. The balls just hit, you react, and you make the throws. So a lot of times when you're in the middle infield, you have all this time to think and the throws and your footwork and all this stuff. But third base is just pure reaction. Obviously, it's different than second base, but maybe he's just a good reaction guy and he can go out there and he looks bigger and stronger now than he ever has. So I don't know what's going to happen, but it'll be interesting to see if maybe he can play a good third base, and then you figure out what else you do with the lineup from there.
Brad Brach is with us. Birdland Territory, again, is the podcast. You to check it out. Brad, I guess let me go on twofold here. One, I mean, the two guys that were at the top of the rotation coming into the season, how encouraged are you by Kyle Bradish his last couple of times out, that you're finally seeing the right guy and the guy that absolutely can be a top-of-the-rotation pitcher? And how concerned are you about how Trevor Rogers looked before he got sick, and then obviously the first start that we saw him last week from him coming back from the injured list?
Yeah, it's Trevor Rogers is kind of, I guess I'm kind of up in the air right now because you don't know which version you're going to get at this point. It seems like he started off the season really well, kind of struggled there for a little bit, then he went on the IL. The last one I'm not too concerned about because coming back from sickness and getting out of your routine, especially for starting pitchers, is just a weird thing. I've seen guys go on IL, come back, be amazing, but most of the time they just kind of get out of their rhythm, and I think you got to give them a few starts here before you kind of judge them based off of that. But I think he's going to be all right. I think once he gets back into this rotation here, hopefully quicker or sooner rather than later, but I think he's going to be the pitcher we expect. But yes, with Kyle Bradish, he's back. I think the last two starts really showed a lot, and just the way he was talking about his starts and what he was working on goes to show me that he knows exactly what he needs to continue to do to have the success he's had. Talked about being more vertical as opposed to lateral. And for me, I was talking about on the show last week, for me, the key for him is that cut fastball that he throws. I know he goes with a four-seamer, but to me, when he's at his best, he gets behind that ball directly and he cuts it a little bit. And to me, that makes his curveball that much better, makes his sinker that much better. It just makes it that much harder to hit the guy. And the last two starts, he's been really, really good. He's been more efficient with his pitches, and he's getting ahead of guys. And then he can get to that unbelievable breaking balls that he has and put guys away. And that's what a top of the rotation guy does. Gets you into the sixth or seventh inning, strikes guys out, and keeps you in the game the entire time.
And then we've been talking a lot about it, Brad. Like, I am so enamored with Rico Garcia, man. It's nuts. It's not just because he's only given up 2 hits all season. It's the circumstances he's been put in. Someone who had never closed a game, now having to be the closer. How do we put into context what it is that someone who, and he told us when we talked to him a couple weeks ago, he knows he's a journeyman, right? Like, that's what he is.
Yeah.
What he's doing since he arrived here in Baltimore, how do we appropriately describe just how crazy this is, the job that Rico Garcia has done?
To me, the words that come to mind are unbelievable and remarkable. Like, it's just something that is absolutely incredible and should just be, I mean, he should be getting way more publicity than he has. Probably doesn't want it and brings a lot more attention to it. But to me, it's just, he's doing unbelievable. I think when you're a journeyman, you're just hoping to be on a roster and find a role. He hasn't just found a role. He's found the role on this team and in this bullpen. And it's just, it's so fun to watch. You can just tell how confident he is. To me, this is probably how he used to pitch in the minor leagues before he got called up. And a lot of times when you get called up, you don't have success. You don't have, the consistent outings that you always used to get in the minor leagues. And to me, just watching this guy pitch, it's like he's pitching in the minor leagues right now. He's just so confident. He's getting ahead with everything, striking guys out. He's just doing everything this team has asked for. And it's really cool to watch, and especially being a bullpen guy. And for me, I bounced around there a little bit before I got to the Orioles, and it's really cool to see a guy get there, have success, and just keep it consistently going.
It's unbelievable, man, and to be put into different spots. I was just praising Anthony Nunez too for this last week, right? Like, called in to close one game, and then going into the 4th inning with the bases loaded in another game to be able to deliver in both spots. That's pretty impressive to me as well.
Yeah, and to me, honestly, one of the most impressive things with him was that he had that little stretch there where he was giving up a few runs, and that's what I was kind of wondering, where's this season going to go? And he turned it right around. He's been even better, I think, since that little stretch than he was at the start of the season.
I assume that this is an easy no. Like, there's no controversy, right, that, like, when Ryan Helsley comes back, maybe you keep letting Rico Garcia close. Like, his versatility, I assume, is so valuable that You want Ryan Helsley right back in that ninth inning role and the ability to put Rico Garcia in whenever you feel like there's a leverage spot ahead of that?
Yeah, I think so. And I think just Rico Garcia has shown he can do it in other innings. Ryan Helsley last year kind of struggled in the eighth inning. We went to the Mets. It could have been the Mets, could have been the situation. But to me, closers who have done it for a little bit, it's really hard trying to put them in other places and try to get them to do other things.
Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world to me. Brad Brach, everybody should be checking out, of course, Birdland Territory, wherever you get your podcasts. And you guys are doing it 3 per week, right?
Yeah, three half-hour shows a week.
Awesome stuff. Anything else that we can plug for you, man?
No, that's pretty much it. It'd be awesome. It's on YouTube also, so you can go on there and subscribe. But it's been fun. It's been great talking Orioles baseball, and glad I could join the show today too. It's been really fun getting to watch this team on a daily basis again, and kind of just follow along with a team in the city that I love so much. So it's been great.
That's awesome. Brad Brach, you're the best. Thank you. Appreciate you doing this. Let's talk again soon, all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
It's Brad Brach. Birdland Territory is where you find him. Appreciate him hopping on and spending some time with us this morning. All right. When we come back in, we are going to talk some Preakness. The winner of the Preakness, well, the trainer of the winner of the Preakness. Unless
we got, that's right. I got Napoleon Solo.
Chad Summers, trainer of Napoleon Solo, will join us next. It is a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
This is Stan the Fan. You know we talk all the time about our O's stepping up in the big moments, delivering when it matters most. If you've been injured in a car accident anywhere around Baltimore, that's your big moment, and you need someone who delivers. That's why I'm here to tell you about Warnken Injury Lawyers. They fight for Baltimore families every single day. Insurance companies play games. Warnken plays to win. So call 443-RESULTS. That's 443-RESULTS, or go to warnkenlaw.com. When you need results, it's right there in the number, 443-RESULTS.
Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery, because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
Well, spring and summer have sprung up in Baltimore. That means more than ever it's time to visit one of the 2 great locations in Baltimore for the Costas Inn. The new location at Timonian Fairgrounds next to the OTB has the same great food, ambiance, and hospitality as the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard in the heart of Dundalk and Sparrows Point. Both are open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner, but remember, it's only the original location for steamed crabs. Take this number down, 410-477-1975 to reserve your slice of Maryland heaven. Make sure you check availability, size, and price point for your next feast. The Costas Inn, always the right choice for dining.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Bill Ordine dives in on how different Preakness will be, temporarily at Laurel Park, and then long-term once it returns to Pimlico. Also inside, Luke Jackson learns more about what Trey Hendrickson will bring to the Ravens. And Karuga Koinange looks at how Samuel Basayo is influencing the Orioles' international signing efforts. Press Box is available for free at over 250 locations throughout the region, including your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. Plus, you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Monday edition of the program. We're going to talk some more Orioles later on. Tom Verducci, who worked Saturday's game for Fox Sports 1, is going to join us and tell us what he thinks of what he's seeing from the Birds right now. But before we do that, we had to do this a little bit earlier on, an opportunity to chat with a Preakness champion right here on GCR. Of course, Preakness this past Saturday at Laurel Park. Napoleon Solo, the winner in the Preakness. We are joined now here on GCR by a man who now for the rest of his life will be known as a Preakness champion. He is the trainer of Napoleon Solo. He's Chad Summers, and he's with us here on GCR. Chad, it's Glenn. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us, and congratulations.
Thanks so much, Glenn. I appreciate it.
Chad, can you describe, like, now that we're 2 days removed, like, when those words hit you, Preakness champion, like, what kind of comes to mind? What does that mean to you? How does it feel that is part of your story now moving forward?
Well, it kind of feels a little bit surreal. One more time, please. To me, it's something that as a kid growing up, look, I wasn't involved in horse racing. My dad was an electrical contractor, and we just really loved all sports and loved horse racing. And, so you watch the Triple Crown races, with some popcorn at home. It wasn't something I ever kind of dreamed of doing, really. I mean, we went to the Kentucky Derby for the first time. I was a senior in high school in 2001. And, it was just something that we fell in love with. And just through hard work and attrition and everything else, we kind of made a little spot for ourselves, and now we're a winner.
Tell me about Napoleon Solo's journey, right? Like, why you knew that Preakness was the path for Napoleon Solo, and when you knew that this horse had a genuine chance at beating the top 3-year-olds in the world.
Yeah, so, I mean, last year he kind of showed off his brilliance. He won a big race in New York called the Champagne Stakes. Mm-hmm. At that point, instead of going to the Breeders' Cup, which is kind of like our championship of the end of the year, it was in California. I thought he had kind of done enough as a 2-year-old to set up for these 3-year-old classics, obviously pointing to the Kentucky Derby. That was always the game plan. When he came back from the rest and started working out, we just got a little bit behind the 8 ball, ran him in February. He just wasn't ready. It was almost like a spring training game for us. And unfortunately, at that point, you have one more shot because everything is points on how to qualify for the Derby. And he had 15 points at that point. The 1, 2, 3 finish in the next race would have put him in the Kentucky Derby. But he got a foot bruise, which is almost like a turf toe if you're like, think about the NFL or, some of those sprinters you see in track and field. And we missed 5 days of training, had to train in a special shoe. And so when we ran in the next race, he just came up a little bit short. He had the lead with about 500 yards to go, was second with 200 yards to go, and just got swallowed up and finished 5th. But at that point, we just decided to point for the Preakness instead of waiting to see if we would have qualified for the Derby, which at some point we would have got in. But we felt it was better to just come in as a fresh horse into the Preakness.
Man, boy, sometimes things become like a bit of a blessing in disguise. Is that
exactly
right? Like, do you think at all like, hey, no, actually, I think we would have won the Kentucky Derby, and so, or do you feel like, man, like, what is that maybe the best turf toe, if you will, in the history of sport?
Look, it's definitely, we're not going to complain about it as much as the woulda, coulda, shoulda, and the Kentucky Derby. We take nothing away from winning the crown jewel of the Triple Crown and the Preakness. Obviously it was a smaller crowd this year, a lot of changes going on in that greater Baltimore area between Laurel. Next year will be a Pimlico again. But look, I was here in Maryland during the COVID Preakness in September, so I've seen a lot of unusual things happen in the state of Maryland when it comes to the Preakness.
Hey, man. Chad Summers, trainer Napoleon Solo, is with us here on GCR. Chad, you said in the lead up to the race that like you expected Napoleon Solo to be out near the front to give you a chance. As you were watching the race unfold, when did it strike you like, oh, he's got this? This is exactly where he wants to be?
So at the start of the race, a lot of times you can make a game plan and then things change as soon as the race starts. This is the odd example of you make a game plan and everything went exactly according to plan. I had planned it out with jockey Paco Lopez. We had talked on Friday and talked again on Saturday after watching a lot of replays and doing a lot of film study. Horse racing, there's a lot of similarities in other sports to horse racing that people don't look at from that standpoint. But for us, it's about watching replays and doing the work and seeing the other horses and trying to figure out the game plans of others along with the game plan for ourselves to give us the best chance to win the race. And, we thought if we can get a horse to kind of be a little bit of a rabbit that can just kind of set the fractions for us and we can sit and bide our time, but then make first move and put the pressure on them. We didn't want to wait too late and have it kind of as a jumbled up mess. So we wanted to move early. So once we passed that first horse, the one horse that was in front of us, we just went on about our business and dared them to come and get us. And fortunately, they weren't able to.
No doubt about it. Strong finish. All right, so I think a lot of people have seen this video that America's Best Racing shared of your dad and your son. For anyone that hasn't, we're sharing it on the screen right now for everybody to see it. But can you tell me about I mean, this is your son is the real star of the Preakness, obviously. With all due respect to Napoleon Solo, your son's clearly the star of the Preakness. Is he like this for every race? Is this, if we had the camera on you, is this what you would look like in that moment?
So they said that he was my mini-me for sure. That's good. Obviously very animated and very excited. And he's the same way for a $5,000 claimer as he is for the Preakness. And the good thing is we won, because I'm not sure, they could have had the expletives that would have come out of his mouth at 14 for if he lost. Maybe I'm not a good father. Maybe I am. I guess that's here and there how people look at it. But he's very passionate. He loves the horses. He comes out as much as he can. He plays a lot of sports, and he loves coming out and bringing his friends out to the barn. And that's what we need, is that next generation to get involved. You don't want it to be a situation where the sport's dying. It used to be a thing where every day you pick up the newspaper and you read the obituary section, you lost a horse racing fan. And we don't want that. We want to make sure that the sport's growing, and hopefully we can leave it in good hands with people like my son and all his friends.
I was going to ask, like, is your son? But first of all, can you tell me what your son's name is? Just because I don't know.
Sean Ryder, actually, believe it or not. His
real
name is Ryder.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you?
But he's 14. He's in 8th grade.
Have you sensed that he has a genuine interest in this being a path for him moving forward to stay in the sport?
Yeah, like kind of scary, and kind of try and keep him away from him as much as I can. But he was about 2 years old, and I got a calendar, like a thoroughbred calendar in the mail, and he couldn't read or write or anything at that point. And you opened up the calendar, and the 12 horses, the 12 horses for every month, he named every horse and every jockey that was in those pictures without even being able to read it. He just knew who they were from watching videos and watching live and all that kind of stuff. And he's just kind of been a savant when it comes to that kind of stuff. And, I encourage him to play with his friends and enjoy his childhood. But he loves the horse. He tapes all the races. He comes back and watches them after his baseball games. Don't tell him the results. And if a horse loses, normally it's my fault. Sometimes it's the jockey's fault. But he has a plan for where they have to run next.
And he's going to tell you what you did wrong in the process.
100%. Yes.
That actually is great, man. And that's so. Now, actually, the dynamic is also fascinating to me, Chad, where he's in one row and your dad's in the other row. Is that because your dad knows, like, don't get too close to him? He's gonna get, like, tell me about that dynamic.
Well, my dad was complaining that he's getting a little bit older and his eyesight's not as good, so he wanted to watch it on the TV. So he was watching more on the TV, and my son was kind of going back and forth between the live and the TV. It looked like he was the racetrack announcer as much as he kept kind of glancing back at that TV. It looked like Paco, actually, the way Paco was glancing over. But at the end of the day, I think just that's the way it worked out. And for me, I'm a very superstitious guy. Friday, we'd run a couple of horses. I tried a couple of spots. I don't run that much at Laurel for where to watch the race. We lost both those races. So on Saturday, I tried another spot, and we won the 5th race. So I said, everybody assume the positions, go back to where you were for the 5th race. And that's why I'm not with them for that video. I'm where I watched the race, and they're where they watched the race, and it all worked out at the end.
Hey, man, you know what? I respect that. That nobody thinks about it, but it's like when you're watching your favorite team and things aren't going well in the first quarter, you gotta mix it up. You gotta do something else in quarter number 2.
That's all you can do.
You bring up, I haven't run a lot at Laurel, but like I know you were in the post-race press conference, you were very complimentary of Laurel. Of course, the circumstance not the one that anybody wants, but your experience there, no one's ever going to ask in 20 years, oh, you were a Preakness winner, but wasn't it the one at Laurel? Like, that's never going to matter. But what was your experience like there? And maybe we'll go down is it particularly memorable because there's not going to be many more races at Laurel moving forward.
Well, I mean, the good thing is I'm going to be in the history books of all those, you know those bars that have that trivia contest on like those random Wednesdays? At some point, this will be a trivia question, and we'll be the answer.
Who won the only ever? That's a great point. Who won the only ever Preakness at Laurel?
All the listeners that are listening now, they can write it down when they go to those bar night trivia contests. Maybe they can get a point out of it. But look, no, it's sad. I mean, Laurel's it's a beautiful facility. They did a lot of work 10, 12 years ago upgrading the facilities. Anyone that hasn't been there, I highly recommend going. They're still running races over there now. Hopefully through the rest of the year. You'll take a little break over the summer to go to Virginia and Colonial. They'll come back in the fall. But they got a sports bar over there that's tremendous. They got TVs all over the place. You don't have to just watch Laurel. You can watch some of the ball games or some of the other racetracks. And the food is really, really good for a racetrack. And I really highly recommend it. Anyone hasn't been to Laurel, look, the Preakness might not be there, but they're still running really, really good horse races there the rest of the year.
I know you've already answered the question. Did you, after the horse won, did you think at all about maybe we go to Belmont, maybe we try to do a match race type of thing? Did you consider any of that at all, like altering the plan after the race?
No, it's a long year. We like to map out plans. Our goal is to get to the Haskell. Our owner's from New Jersey. The Haskell's at Monmouth Park. It's $1 million race. If you win, you get an automatic berth to the Breeders' Cup, which is kind of our end of the year championships. And so that's what we're going to do is we're going to point for that. And anybody that wants to see us there, we're telling them right now where we're going to be.
Is there any, Chad, the conversation, we've been dealing with it, of course, in Maryland for some time. We want the Triple Crown to matter. Like, we want these 3 races to matter. Do you have any thought about what this needs to look like in order for it to be practical for trainers, for owners in particular, to say, yeah, we want to run all of these races or at least multiple races, like what it would need to look like schedule-wise, calendar-wise, for that to become a reality again for the sport?
It's just a little bit of a different thing. Look, at one part of me as a historian of the game says keep it the same as it is, and march on, right? But then you look at the NFL, and they went to the 17-game schedule, and while the players didn't like it at first, nobody's really complaining now. The records are made to be broken, and they've been broken, obviously, because you have the extra game. It's just a new generation, a new era. The horses now, the way they're bred, they're not bred as durable as they were before. They're bred more for speed. And when you're bred for speed, sometimes you need a little bit more time to recover because you're not as much of a heavy horse. You're more of a lighter framed, bodied horse. And so, when you're made differently, you recover differently. And so I think that's why a lot of times people need that little bit extra time of recovery to get to that next stage. And that's the situation where we're in right now. And it's something that we need to discuss in the industry. Unfortunately, the tracks don't talk to each other enough. The horsemen don't talk to each other enough. We need a commissioner of racing in the worst way. And you see it in every other sport. We don't have it here, and we don't have a central body. And so things get mixed and lost in long translation. And what I call is we plastical burst ourselves a lot. We shoot ourselves in the foot. And it just kind of, it's to the detriment of everybody and the benefit of nobody. So, hopefully at some point we can all get together in the industry and rally around. And like I said, if this gives me a little bit more of a platform on winning this race, then I'm going to take every advantage of it and try and help the industry as much as I can, because it's something that obviously I love. And you see 3 generations of my family are very passionate about.
Is it a month? Is that the right time frame? Like, I know that folks in Maryland have talked about pushing it back a week. My gut tells me that doesn't do anything. Like, does it need to be a month separation between the races?
I think a week would help. I think a month would be more beneficial. What happens is then, you're kind of walking on other racetracks and other things. But if you want to make the Triple Crown a prestigious thing, I think a month is probably the right answer for sure.
That's the sense that I've gotten. All right. What did you do to, like, after all the cameras are away, after like the day the track ended, what did you do to allow yourself to celebrate on Saturday, Chad?
So I always get myself in a jackpot with this. When I won my first ever race, it was a $2 million race in Dubai, and we had no idea what to do there. So we went to a TGI Fridays at 2 o'clock in the morning. This time we went, by the time we wrapped everything up, it was about 11 o'clock. I said, what's still open here in Baltimore, or the Baltimore area with Laurel? So there was a Mexican restaurant open until midnight, right next to the DoubleTree Hotel. So I took my whole staff over there, the ownership, my family. We went over there. There was a DJ playing. He might have also been the chef because it took us about an hour and a half to get our food. But we didn't mind too much. We had a good time. There were some drinks flowing, and everybody had a good time.
Yeah, I guess you just won the Preakness. Like, it doesn't feel quite the same at that point. Chad Summers, congratulations, man. Awesome run, awesome performance. and now forever a Preakness champion. Really appreciate you spending time with us. I hope you enjoyed your time here in Maryland.
You got it. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good one.
That's Chad Summers. That was a lot of fun. Appreciate him taking the time for us. And nobody's going to care years from now that the Golden Tempo didn't run. Nobody's going to care that it was at Laurel Park. They're going to know that he won the Preakness. And he's obviously hoping there's going to be more of those. But fun story. And just went to a random Mexican restaurant. We got to figure what the name of the restaurant was. That was by he said the
DoubleTree Hilton, or no, just the.
I don't know. All right, two things that were on my list for today that I haven't gotten to yet, but I have a minute here. Aaron Rodgers officially back with the Steelers.
Congratulations
Shocked,
to
I tell you.
all
Shocked.
the Steelers.
I don't know what to say. I do think the Steelers are better with Aaron Rodgers than they would have been if, like, Will Howard or Drew Aller had to be their quarterback. But not notably. Not, like, I saw a lot of people tried to say, hey, the receivers are better, as they had Michael Pittman into the mix this year, too. That's true. You're right. Now what? What do we do with that information? It's Aaron Rodgers. He's 43. I don't know what to say. He is not proven to still be playing at a Tom Brady-esque level. Just deeper. He'll be 43, right? He'll turn 43 during the season. He's not, like, Tom Brady did it. He is not proven to still be playing at that level. He has clearly been a diminished version of himself. And, again, in a way, you celebrate that because it means the Steelers haven't addressed quarterback. But at the same time, the Ravens just lost to them twice last year. That happened. That's a thing that occurred. I think that a normal Ravens team with a fully healthy Lamar Jackson should be expected to win both games against the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. But, you know, it ain't that easy. And big news in lacrosse. I'm sure we'll talk about it when Patrick joins us this week. Lars Tiffany out as the head coach at Virginia. It was a bummer, obviously. Johns Hopkins falling to Notre Dame. Speaking of falling, turf was great up at Hofstra. Yikes. Put in new surface just in time for everybody to be sliding away. But that, I mean, Notre Dame was definitely better than Johns Hopkins. That wasn't really debatable. They were the best team, and they won. And now it's 3 ACC teams and Princeton in for championship weekend. And I don't know. I guess I think Notre Dame's the team to beat going in. Patrick's argument for Syracuse this past week was kind of compelling. Like, hey, if they can just get through this weekend, maybe the pressure comes off. And talent-wise, they're just so insanely loaded.
Are they the ones to root for?
Because Joey Spallina's a whipsnake?
Well, yeah, duh.
And because, like, they got Wyatt Hoddle and Billy Dwan and some other local guys. I don't know. I mean, there's probably local guys on every roster.
I guess you're right.
Probably. I don't know. I had to look at it. Maybe not Notre Dame. They haven't had as many over the years. I'm not rooting for any of them is the answer. I'm not rooting for
You want them all to lose. Okay.
But I mean,
someone's going to win.
That is true. It does work that way. Lars Tiffany out despite Virginia's in-season turnaround and, you know, looking like a real threat coming into the tournament. They decided to make that move.
They have one kid from Gilman, a boys Latin kid.
All right. So Notre Dame's got a few. There's probably locals on every roster.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Savannah Park.
We'll come back in. More baseball conversation. Tom Verducci, SI, Fox Sports. He joins us next. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
Well, spring and summer have sprung up in Baltimore. That means more than ever it's time to visit one of the two great locations in Baltimore for the Costas Inn. The new location at Timonian Fairgrounds next to the OTB has the same great food, ambiance, and hospitality as the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard in the heart of Dundalk and Sparrows Point. Both are open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner, but remember, it's only the original location for steamed crabs. Take this number down, 410-477-1975 to reserve your slice of Maryland heaven. Make sure you check availability, size, and price point for your next feast. The Costas Inn, always the right choice for dining.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
This is Byron Warnkin. If you've been injured in a car or truck crash, you probably know this is stressful. Medical bills, the insurance company giving you the runaround, you got to get your car fixed. You don't just need a lawyer, you need results. At Warnkin LLC, we represent the injured across Maryland. Whether it's a car or truck crash case, medical malpractice, or any other serious personal injury, we fight for maximum compensation for you and maximum ease for you. You don't want to have to deal with this stuff. Warnkin LLC has been voted best personal injury law firm in Maryland for a reason. For us, 443 Results isn't just a phone number, it's our mission. Get the advocate that you need. Call us today, 443 Results, or visit us online, warnkinlaw.com. That's WARNKENLAW.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Monday edition of the program. Oh, boy. A couple of things. One, today's show is also brought to you by County Sports Zone. CountySports.zone is the website for you to find out everything going on in local high school sports. I know our friend Steve Johnson was going on about St. Paul's winning the B Conference baseball title. You can find out more about that. CountySports.zone. CountySports.zone. Easy for me to say. Proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Thanks to those of you that were listening this morning over on WBAL. Yes, it has already been a long day for me. That is correct. I start to hit the wall right about now on days like this because I have to wake up at 3:30 in the morning. Oh, but hey, fun thing. Our AC wasn't working, and so the kids were so hot, they decided they wanted to come downstairs.
You can't blame them for that.
Oh, I can't blame them for that, but I made them. I said, you're not sleeping in the bed. The bed's not big enough. It ain't happening. I made them bring their sleeping bags down. I said, you can sleep on the floor of our room. That's fine. Not in the bed. But they were yapping. They were 3:30 alarm hits. It's a whole thing. But yes, appreciate that. We are going to have a slightly altered schedule for this week. I will tell you more about that in a bit. I think we're still finalizing it, but just going to be a little bit different than usual on a couple of days this week. So be prepared for that. Obviously, we did normal time today. The plan is to do normal time tomorrow, but The rest of the week, a little bit up in the air. We'll make some decisions about that. We'll make some determinations. Just be prepared. Schedule will not be as usual. Conference finals set in the NBA. We know tonight the Western Conference finals get underway with the Spurs and the Thunder. The Cavaliers win Game 7 in the East, so they will face the Knicks in the Eastern Conference finals starting on Tuesday night. And, of course, a Game 7 in hockey this evening as well. Our next guest was on the broadcast for Fox Sports 1 for the Orioles lost to the Nationals on Saturday. You, of course, know him from not only Fox Sports but also Sports Illustrated. Always a pleasure for Tom Verducci to take some time for us here on a Monday morning. Tom, it's Glenn. It's great to chat with you. Thank you for taking time. I know you're a busy man. You got Tigers Guardians coming up, right?
I do. It's the first time those two are meeting up this year, so looking forward to that one. Tigers have one of the very many underachieving teams, let's say, this early in the season has kind of been a theme where some of the wannabe contenders, at least the ones we expected, Mets, Red Sox, Phillies have gotten out of their way now. The Tigers, I think, and I guess you could throw the Orioles in there, a little more underwater than we thought going into the season.
Boy, you know, Tom, I wanted to present it this way, right? I read your column about the Giants and agree, right? The Orioles are all of one game better than the Giants, and they have a lot of the same problems as the Giants do. So I'll ask you, is the Orioles season also likely already lost?
Well, I would not say that because to me, the Orioles have a higher upside offensively than the Giants do. I think the Giants have a limited ceiling offensively. They rely so much on Rafael Devers. He's kind of streaky anyway, that when he's not hitting, it's just a very shallow lineup. I think, and I would agree with Mike Elias on this, when you look at the Orioles offensively, you can see that there's a path forward for this team if they hit according to, let's face it, what their track records are. Yeah. So I do think there's a higher upside with this Baltimore team that I've seen in San Francisco.
The pitching, obviously Kyle Bradish has looked a lot better recently. And look, to the point, the pitching wasn't necessarily the problem in D.C. this weekend, but on the whole, they right now have had one guy who's made two really good starts, and we think Kyle Bradish is going to be that guy moving forward. I don't know what else there is, and I think that's the concern for me. Is I agree with you. I think the offense absolutely should be better. There's reason to believe it can be better, but do they have enough pitching for that to matter?
Yeah, that is the question, and I would say it's the defining question for this team. Like we said, if you assume they're going to hit better, and I think they will, what is the ceiling for this pitching staff? You know, if Rogers doesn't get himself straightened out, you know, Bassett just has not looked good. I mean, he's allowing first batters of an inning to get on base more than half the time. You just can't pitch that way, especially when you're not a strikeout guy. He can't put people away with two strikes. So it's not necessarily a deep rotation. I think we knew that going in, but, you know, I love the way that Shane Baz threw the ball the other day. Hopefully he's turning a corner for Baltimore. But, yeah, I think it's not the kind of pitching staff to me that's going to carry a team through a 20-9 month, you know, to really get back into the thick of things at the top of the AL Central and AL East. So here's the problem, I think. When you build a team to their DNA is offensively, look at where baseball is right now. It's a pitching-dominated game. The Major League batting average is like the third lowest of all time. Home runs are down. Extra base hits are down. Yeah, okay, walks are up. It's a function of probably the ABS system as much as anything. But pitching has changed so much in the last 3 years. You know, I call these lab-grown pitches where people are just shaping everything. I looked at this the other day. 86% of all starting pitchers in baseball throw at least 5 pitches. So in prepping for what you see on a nightly basis, man, it is more difficult than ever to be a hitter in the big leagues. And I think even guys who've had track records. And I looked at this with Gunnar Henderson. Yeah, he had a nice day yesterday, but, you know, in his very short period of time in the big leagues, you know, he has seen the number of four-seam fastballs he's seen has gone down from like 1 out of 3 to almost 1 out of 5. That's how fast the game has changed in terms of pitchers running basically Major League Baseball. So when you build a team on power and slug and based off track records, it's going to be harder based on the pitching environment we have now. The easier way forward right now is what the Rays are doing.
Yeah.
That's a contact-oriented team that runs the bases extremely well. Deep pitching staff from 1 through 13. Not a whole lot of slug, but a lot of line drive hitters and very athletic.
Tom Verducci is with us here on GCR. Tom, I know that was a topic this weekend. I mean, the Orioles hit the ball hard this weekend in D.C. and just didn't have a ton to show for it. And Craig Albernaz was asked about, do you have a problem where you're trying for too much hard contact and not, just putting balls in play? And he said, I think we all know in this game, especially at this level, when you hit the ball soft, it's probably not going to be a hit. And there's been a lot made of this, particularly with Gunnar Henderson this season, where early on it felt like he had changed his launch and was maybe purposely swinging for home runs. That are the Orioles going the wrong way? Are they chasing this thing that we thought was the game and what it needed to become and just hitting home runs, when what you just alluded to, maybe what we're learning is the game actually is more pitching, play some defense, put balls in play, the thing that we thought we were getting away from in this modern era of baseball a little bit.
Yeah, well, I would say it's never a problem if you're hitting the ball hard. Yes, they had a lot of hard balls Friday, Saturday, were caught or just didn't go out of the ballpark. Those things tend to even out. I'd be concerned with when I see guys like velocity going down significantly. Taylor Ward to me looks like a very different hitter.
Yeah.
His exit velocity is down, his launch angle is down. He's extremely passive, and I get the whole, he doesn't chase anything now. It's just amazing. His plate discipline is great, but his approach to the plate is not that of a 30 home run hitter, which is they thought they were getting. So, I think exit velocity sometimes gets overrated. Luis Arraez is a great hitter, and he hits the ball very softly. Now, I wouldn't want a lineup of 9 Luis Arraezes, but I'd like to have 1 or 2 guys like that in my lineup. And, look at Toronto. They're scuffling this year. It's the same team last year, essentially, that, they don't really chase slug all that much. They're the best contact hitting team in baseball, but things are just not falling for them right now. So I don't think it's a problem to be hitting the ball so hard. I think strikeouts are always a problem unless you do have slug. Doesn't seem to be a huge problem. Like I said, the biggest thing for the Orioles right now is that the guys who should be slugging, the Alonsos, the Hendersons, the Wards, once they start slugging, they'll be in good shape. And I actually thought the last at-bat that Gunnar had yesterday, to me, was the best sign of all. That was a change-up down and away, and we saw so many 4-3s early in the month with Gunnar Henderson that, his timing is much better. The separation between his torso and his hips as they turn, much better. For him to just stay back on that ball and hit it hard up the middle, that to me was a really good sign. So I think it was more mechanical. And Gunnar, he runs very hot. You see his emotions. There's no doubt that, he felt like he was letting the team down, probably digging himself a bigger hole. But a day like that can get a guy like that out of it because he's so talented.
Tom, how do we have an adult conversation about Mike Elias? Because I want to make this very clear. The Orioles should not fire Mike Elias today. That would just be dumb. It would be a dumb thing to do for a franchise. But I do know that on the flip side, this is a franchise that won over 100 games in 2023, was cruising along again in 2024, and has not been able to build off that. It's gone the other way. And even if we think they're still a playoff contender this year, we're kind of giving that a caveat of, the American League's not very good, so they could still be in the mix in the wild card. How do we talk about what's happened here, what's reasonable, and whether or not there should be maybe more of a microscope for Mike Elias if the season doesn't really turn around and the Orioles look like more of a division contender as it goes on?
Yeah, listen, it's a very legitimate question, and I think that's true around baseball because president of baseball operations put these teams together, and it seems like when things don't go wrong, it's not the acquisition process. It's first thing is the manager, right? You're not getting the most out of the guys we give you. It happened in Boston. It happened in Philadelphia. It may happen in New York with the Mets, although they're playing better lately. There's much more job security for the guy who's assembling the teams. A.J. Preller, who's done a nice job in San Diego, has gone through, 6 or 7 managers in 10 years. So we're very quick to get rid of coaches and managers, less quick to get rid of the guys who are putting the teams together. And once again, I'll agree with you. It's not to say his job is on the line with Mike Elias, but I think it's a fair conversation that when teams aren't playing well, I think we have to look at the player acquisition process, how a team was assembled, the architecture of the team, and also have to look at, when young players develop. And it's not linear. We all know that. But when you look at Baltimore from a couple of years ago and all the young talent, the Holiday, the Mayos coming, Kausers, and where are they at the big league level in terms of their progress? Well, it's fits and starts, right? So I think you have to look at the player development process. Holiday's case is mostly injuries. I get it. But maybe he was pushed a little too quickly. So these are the kinds of things and I'm sure the Orioles do this like any team internally. They're always looking at their processes and how it can be better. But it's certainly fair, I think, for fans when a team is underachieving, not just look at the results of today's game, but take a wider lens.
I wonder, too, what do we make of the fact that they have not prioritized drafting and developing pitching? They've barely done it, right, in the entire Elias era. They haven't done it at all high in the draft. And yet they've still been reluctant to spend, real big money on pitching. And I get it. The pitching thing is volatile. I understand that. But it seems like the answer can't be you don't do either, other than trading for 1 year of Corbin Burns, which everybody, of course, was on board with. It was a trade worth making. But short of that, they have not paid high prices for pitching. And then it sort of seems like the answer is, well, I can't believe we don't have any pitching here. Well, what are you doing to get the pitching?
Yeah, and some of that is acquisitional too, because I go back to when Theo Epstein went to the Cubs, and he wanted to draft position players. Chris Bryant, Albert Almora, Kyle Schwarber. His idea was those are the guys who are going to set the tone for your organization. They play every day, and I can find pitching, and he did. Whether it was John Lester on the free agent market or trading for guys like Arrieta and Hendricks, he did a great job acquiring pitching. I think that's hard to do. But that's where you really rely on your scouts. How do you find some of these guys who are going to pop for you, who, maybe are not that first-round pick that's an obvious top prospect in some of these organizations? You can do it that way. And listen, the Astros for years were known for developing, especially strikeout pitchers, and kind of on the cheap, especially from Latin America. They did a great job identifying pitching, and it wasn't necessarily the top of the market, but they pitched that way. But yeah, I think that's one of the processes that the Orioles have to look at in terms of, how do you get your guys and whether it's drafting or even trading for players who can outperform what the rest of the industry thinks.
You mentioned Mike Elias earlier, and I started thinking about this. Did you happen to talk to him at all about the Jackson Holiday thing and him playing third base? And I guess, Tom, what do you make of obviously it hurts the Orioles to not have Jordan Westburg. It hurts them bad. They need his profile so badly on this team. But it's interesting to me, the idea of trying to make Jackson Holiday a third baseman when you really need his bat more than anything. And, well, I don't think he's a high-level second baseman. It feels like maybe having him play the position that he's been playing the most would be the best thing in order to get that bat out of. What do you make of the idea of him playing third base?
Yeah, I think it comes down to a comfort level. And I'm not sure how he feels. A guy who played a lot of shortstop growing up, maybe that side of the infield is more comfortable to him. I agree with you in terms of where he was at second base. I just thought he was okay.
Right.
He even throwing from second base to me didn't look comfortable. Maybe it was the angle. I'm not sure. He should have a better arm than what I saw just eyeballing it. But yes, if this is going to have him be more comfortable, and you're right about the Westburg injury, that's the kind of guy you miss. I mean, obviously you're not going to have MVP type numbers, but he's a glue guy in that team and just does everything so well. I have no problem, especially if you think that Jackson Holiday, it's actually going to help his offense as well, just from a comfort point of view, to give that a shot.
I mean, if that's the case, if he's comfortable, by all means, they need that bat. They badly need him to become that hitter that they thought he was going to be. What else is on the docket for you, Tom Verducci, after Tigers Guardians? What's on your horizon?
I got for MLB Network. I got the Yankees and the Blue Jays. It's always fun coming up on Wednesday and Thursday. The Wednesday game is actually a dream matchup. It's Cam Schlittler against Trey Savage.
Oh, wow.
How about that?
I mean,
you talk about young pitchers who just with pure strikeout stuff. I can't wait for that game.
Schlittler's unhittable, man. It's nuts with Schlittler. My God, he is going to be such a thorn in the side. We're going to hate that guy for so long around.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned that because that guy is the epitome of what pitching is right now because he basically stole Garrett Cole's cutter, and they really worked on his two-seamer this year. So now he throws 90% fastballs. And you're like, how do you get by throwing 90% fastballs? Well, they're three different pitches. You know, the cutter goes arm side, the sinker, the cutter goes glove side, the sinker goes arm side, and then you got that four-seamer with ride at the top. The balls are coming in on the same tunnel, and then they veer left, right, or hold plane.
It's not fair.
It's just crazy what a hitter. No, I mean, listen, it used to be, I said 5 or 6 years ago, the big thing was vert. Everybody wanted that high-spinning four-seamer, top of the zone. Well, guess what? Hitters adjusted to that. Now it's like this three-fastball menu that so many pitchers have now. That is the hitter's dilemma. They're all coming in at very close speeds. Like Schlittler is different from like 94 to 99. And figuring out which way, where the ball is going to be by the time your bat comes in the zone. I mean, that's why I say the game right now is just so hard for hitting. And if you've got an arm like that, it just seems like whether in a lab or the pitching coaches, they're doing a great job maximizing what these pitchers can do with the baseball.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. Tom Verducci, is really a pleasure. Always appreciate taking the time for us. I know you're a busy man. Thank you for hopping on. Great to see you on the broadcast on Saturday. Would love to do it again soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Really enjoyed it.
Tom Verducci, of course, SI, Fox Sports, MLB Network. Appreciate him taking the time for us. I keep trying to talk about it like an adult, right? Like we had the conversation with Britt Giroli. I don't know how to have the Mike Elias conversation. Like, the crazy part to me is like, what if they had lost yesterday and then they go down and they lose? They get swept, say, in Tampa. That's not unreasonable. Like, is there a point at which they fire another manager? Like, is there a point at which they say, well, how much rope is there? Because Britt Giroli's argument is, well, when Mike Elias was promoted, he clearly got a new contract out of that. And we don't know how long that contract is, but it feels unlikely that it was less than 4 years. So if that happened before the 2025 season, that means that contract would be at, again, the least through 28. So is it even practical? When I say, like, does it feel like he needs to be under the microscope? And, like, if this is about what the Orioles are for the entirety of this season, should he answer for it at the end of the year? Britt Giroli said, I don't know. It just seems like maybe the Orioles have hitched their wagons to Mike Elias. But with nothing to show from that from a pitching standpoint. I mean, two starts of Kyle Bradish to show for it. A half of last year of Trevor Rogers to show for it. So how do we talk about it? The unspoken part is the best thing that could happen for the Orioles is if they all start playing better and they start winning games. Well, yes, of course. That would be the best. But what if that doesn't happen? Which, again, the deeper you get into the season, you can only keep saying, hey, there's still lots of time, and this is baseball for so long. At some point, you kind of are what you are. Brad Brach brought it up earlier. Like, it's the 3 against the 3 in Tampa. Then next weekend, they're back home. And then they got the Rays again the following at home, right?
Yes. They got, it'll be a 10-game homestand with Detroit, Tampa, and Toronto.
Detroit, Tampa, and Toronto.
Starting Friday.
Man, if you get, let's just spitball, right? You lose.
I don't know if I want to.
Let's just say you lose 2 out of 3 in Tampa. I won't even say you get swept. You lose 2 out of 3, right?
We win Bradish to start tomorrow night.
I was going to say Griffin Jacks versus Bradish, right? Yeah. Tomorrow night. He's their worst starter.
Maybe we'll get a Shane Baz revenge game.
He's their worst starter, and his ERA is 3.91. He's their worst.
He's the guy they're converting, like they're working on.
Yeah. He's the worst option they have.
Which Schlotten's. Is that how you say it?
I don't even know.
Schlotten's.
Is that who's starting Wednesday?
Yeah.
Maybe, because he might not be a normal. He might not. I
think he starts, but yeah, he's like a guy that they pulled out of thin air and has a 2 ERA.
Hang on a second. Let me pull this up. I just want to make sure that these numbers haven't changed. Yes. Again, Griffin Jacks would have the best ERA of any Orioles starter. Would have the best. And he has the worst ERA of the Rays' regular starters. This isn't like one of those, well, he's their second worst. No, he would have the best ERA of any Oriole starter. He has the worst ERA of any Rays starter. Fun times.
Schlotten's has a 3 ERA. He hasn't gone deeper than 5 2/3 into a game, so I'm sure he'll go 7 scoreless.
Almost certainly. Yeah. Almost certainly. And how many starts has he made to this point?
Like 6, I think.
No, he's only.
This
will only be his third start.
Oh, this is only his third start. Okay, he's been a ball.
So
guy
who's hurt right now? Because Martinez, Rasmussen, McClanahan, and Matz have been their other 4 primary guys. So one of those guys is not available, and we know it's not McClanahan because he's pitching tonight.
Pretty sure Rasmussen's healthy. Hold on, I'm pulling up their roster resource. Or maybe not.
Okay.
As we wait for it to load. They have.
They're just using 6 starters for some reason.
No, yeah, they're using 5. On the IL, they have pitching wise Joe Boyle and Steven Matz and
Matz, yes, Matz. Matz has been one of their primary starters this season.
Yeah, and he's hurt.
Yeah.
And Ryan Pepio, he hasn't pitched at all this year. I think he's out for the year.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Brian Baker's been really good.
He has. Brian Baker was good in Baltimore. Like, the Orioles never had a Brian Baker problem, or at least didn't recently. Let's say they lose 2 out of 3. Then this weekend against the Tigers.
Say, let's pray they lose 2 out of 3.
Yeah, you might. Let's say they lose 2 out of 3 both series against the Rays.
Okay.
Right? Just would be beneficial. Let's say they lose 2 out of 3 in all these next 3 series. Right? Let's just do that. They go 3-6 over their next 9 games. Then you go into that Blue Jays series and you're 24-32.
Jesus.
Essentially, that becomes like you better win, you better sweep in order to feel like your season has life. You drop 2 out of 3 in that series. I don't.
4-game set with Toronto.
That's a 4-game set. So even if you split, you're 26-34 going back on the road. And I get it. There are plenty of teams that have suddenly started stringing wins together. And we can all do this. We can all say, hey, maybe Gunnar Henderson turning the corner. Maybe we can all do this. But it's hard to practically feel like anything's happening here, man. I hope. I keep coming back to that. I keep hoping. Who knows? All it takes is I keep saying this. Last Monday, we all felt as deflated as we could possibly feel. And then the Orioles went and won 2 out of 3 against the Yankees. And we're like, okay, maybe things aren't so bad. But at some point, they have to string together good baseball. There has to be a stretch of good baseball. I just don't know where it's coming from. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you by the print issue of Press Box. We talked to the winner of the Preakness earlier today, and you can read about the future of the Preakness in that print issue. Go get it for free at your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores, anywhere around town where you find Press Box. Read it all, PressBoxOnline.com.
You mentioned it. The Steelers have their quarterback once again, and he is a guy who has the second most first-team All-Pro selections as a quarterback, with 4.
Brady?
No.
Manning?
There are I have the top 8 here because that all have won 3 or more. Yes, Peyton is number 1.
Okay.
7 first-team All-Pros for Peyton. Brady is one of those, one of the 6 tied with 3.
What are these red bugs, man?
I don't know. There's little mites. I don't know.
What is
they're
going on?
annoying.
Because when
I don't
you
know
just try, I just want to try.
I know
to,
you want to smash it, but you can't.
No, I don't want to smash it. I want to sweep it off the page. But when I try to sweep it off the page, that happens.
Yeah, I know they just kind of smear. I don't know what to do. I don't know what they are, and I don't know how to get rid of them.
What are these things?
I think they're harmless.
They're not. Yeah, they're not fire ants. They're.
I don't know. I don't know how to. Do we call somebody?
Okay. How about Marino?
Yes, he has 3.
Elway.
No.
Favre.
He has 3. Need 3 more.
You need to have
3 All-Pros.
Oh, Lamar.
Lamar Jackson has 3.
Yeah, because the 2
First-team
MVP
All-Pros.
seasons in the year, they were like, we'll just give the MVP to somebody else who's not as good. Montana.
Montana has 3.
How about how many more am I looking for?
1 more.
One more.
Peyton has 7. Rodgers has 4, and then all these guys have 3.
Aikman.
No.
Kurt Warner.
No.
Man. How far? I mean, when does this list start? Like it did
Super Bowl era, so 19. Yeah.
So yeah, like not like John Unitas or Len Dawson.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's quite
I
the
thought
dramatic
you were
pause.
ruling. I thought you were ruling him out. I thought you were.
No. Well, I mean, I was kinda, but
Yeah.
I mean, he was the beginning of the Super Bowl era. So was Bart Starr.
No.
It was the beginning of the Super Bowl era. Staubach.
No.
Steve Young.
Steve Young
It's
has
always
3.
Steve Young. It's like
First
Elgin
team
Baylor.
All-Pros.
It's always Steve Young.
There you go. Good job.
Very good. Let's get tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, here's what's coming up.
course.
Huh? No, that's something we gotta work on. That we gotta fix that somehow, some way. There's got to be an answer. Here's what's coming up, totally tubular wise. Orioles do indeed open the series in Tampa tonight against the Rays. 6:40 on MASN. Trevor Rogers and Shane McClanahan, the pitching matchup. Canadiens Sabres Game 7 tonight at 7:30 on ESPN. Winner to the Eastern Conference Finals. NBC for Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Spurs Thunder at 8:30. Everything else, go to glennclarkradio.com and find it there. Non-sports.
Nah.
Really?
No. It's the season 30 finale of Antiques Roadshow.
Hell yeah,
on
brother.
PBS.
Hell
Check that
yeah.
out.
What are the other options?
No.
Okay.
You want to know what happens in the season 8 finale of FBI on
I
CBS?
do. I have been waiting for
Well,
the
stick
season
around
8
for
finale,
afterwards
yeah.
because you'll get the season 1 finale of CIA
Hell
after
yeah.
FBI.
Now, what about DEA?
They don't. That show hasn't started yet. Maybe next season.
They'll get around to that. They'll get around to that.
Yeah. Or FDA maybe should they do?
I don't know. All right then. All right. Thanks today to Tom Verducci. Thanks to Chad Summers, trainer of Napoleon Solo. Thanks to Brad Brach. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the...
It's a busy one on Fallon. He's going to have Nate Bargatze, Chase Infinity, and Ryan Garcia.
Who's Chase Infinity?
She was in One Battle After Another.
Oh,
and
that's
she's
yeah.
in the new housemaid show, The Testaments.
Ryan Garcia, the boxer?
Yeah. Why? I guess because there was, I don't know.
I will not be going to that tour.
But it's Nate Bargatze.
I like him.
And Chaser Infinity's a great.
She seems
she's a great
nice,
actress.
but we don't, and not deep enough that you want me to spend my time that way. And Ryan Garcia is an Instagram boxer for the most part.
No, he's a real boxer. Yes. He's beaten some pretty good.
He's
boxers.
beaten some okay boxers.
Didn't he beat Devin Haney, or he lose to Haney? This is the state of boxing.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Not like mixed martial arts is doing so well. No contest against Devin Haney.
Oh, that's right. He knocked out Devin Haney, and then it got overturned because he tested positive for something.
Yeah. That sounds very boxing.
Good. He did look good.
Sounds very boxing.
I think he's fighting this summer. I think that's what is next for Garcia.
Sure. Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. We're following that up tomorrow with
all our Tuesday stuff.
All right. We used to have a Monday problem. I don't know how that became a Tuesday problem, but we've had a Tuesday problem the last few weeks. All right. Thanks, everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Costas Inn, your Baltimore area highest dairy stores, Leading Edge Auto Body.
Do we get to talk about it wasn't UFC, so do we get to talk about?
There's nothing to talk about. It ended in 17 seconds.
Well, I mean, okay, not that necessarily, but I mean, Francis Ngannou, he was fighting.
He fought. Like, there's nothing. It's
Nate Diaz fought.
Yeah, brother.
He got.
If there was something to say, I would say. Imagine being mad about that. Like, you chose to watch, dog.
I think that's what you expect. That was what was supposed to happen. Is that?
I think people might have liked to have seen a fight, but like you.
What did you expect? It was a 45-year-old Gina Carano.
Right. Like what? And by the way, it doesn't suggest that Ronda Rousey's good.
Maybe it does. Maybe she needs to fight again.
No, she says she's not.
Yeah, I know she says she's not. But, when Jake Paul waves another $2 million bill in front of her, we'll see what happens.
Who else is there? Who else are people paying money to watch Ronda Rousey fight?
He's just got to poach everyone from the UFC, I guess.
The Orioles, Warnken Law,
Cyborg.
1-800-GAMBLER, helpmygamblingproblem.org. Cruise, Maryland,
Hold
the countysports.zone, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Is Holly Holm still in UFC?
Yeah, no, she's not. So that could be the one.
But she's got to be 50 now,
She is, but
right?
she's been actively like boxing and doing other stuff.
And she beat Ronda, right?
Yes.
I guess that could be a money.
Chris Cyborg's 40, and then Holly Holm.
Holly Holm's the same age as Gina Carano, actually. She's 44.
Yeah.
They could. I mean, it wouldn't.
She doesn't have to shed 100 pounds to make it.
That's a great point. That's a great point. All right. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Monday evening. Go Birds. Duke sucks.